for joining us for this important announcement that marks a significant step forward in the fight against cancer in India. I also extend our gratitude to the members from the media for joining us today. Welcoming all the doctors and senior representatives from our
liquid biopsy, that technology which is brought in, and with the help of Zydus, we are very happy to launch this for India, to bring it to our country. We are committed to bring excellence in oncology. We are committed to bring the best in every space as far as the care is concerned, healthcare is concerned. And with that pursuit, we are today here all together, bringing this technology for people of India. So thank you very much. Thank you.
This opportunity, as my senior colleague Dr. Harit mentioned, everyone is aware of cancer, and everyone has, felt it or faced it in someone nearby, at home or relative. So how do we find those patients who have early stage of the disease? So that's why world over there is a lot of thing called screening. I'm sure all of you know that for breast cancer everybody goes through mammogram, and for cervical cancer you do pap smear, and some you might have already heard about this, but only few cancers are screen detectable by such tests. Many cancers are not detectable by screening until they become a advanced stage and difficult stage. So we are looking at technologies how to detect cancer at their early stage. That's when these kind of tools come into play. This is very, very novel, very, very cutting edge. By a simple blood test, we are trying to find whether the DNA can be, cell-free DNA can be isolated, and whether the methylation pattern of the DNA, which will be different in cancer DNA versus the normal DNA, whether that can be detected, and therefore we can detect cancer early, even before it causes any symptoms. So it's a very unique advanced technology, and Flow is now partnering to bring that tool to India also. So that's the introduction I can give. I hope it helps our patients. Thank you.
Here in Chennai, always a pleasure to come here. My last visit here, I got a chance to meet Dr. Pratap Reddy, and such a pertinent question, the how. And so that's been the journey for Guardant. Guardant was started in 2012. We've been pioneers in the liquid biopsy technology. It's been mentioned by Dr. T. Raja, Dr. Harit as well. They've been stalwarts in terms of adoption of the liquid biopsy technology, and being able to share the knowledge of that for other clinicians in India. So thank you for your efforts as well. But Guardant started with this concept that we will be able to detect tumor DNA in the blood, and more importantly, to be able to look at what are the drivers that are driving the cancer, the mutations that are causing the cancer, and to be able to then guide doctors for treatment selection. We started with the first FDA approval in 2020. In fact, till today, there are only 2 companies that have got an FDA approval. So it's a really high bar. Not to forget, from there, we then decided that this is an entire journey. It's not only important to just look at advanced cancer. In order to be able to bend mortality curves, to be able to make sure that we are helping and alleviate this burden of disease of cancer, we need to go early. We need to go upstream. And so we pushed forward in terms of innovation. We were able to then get the first FDA approval for a blood test in primary screening of colorectal cancer. We then, very recently, a couple of weeks ago, decided that, hey, our existing technology in treatment selection was still very limited. We only looked at about 74 genes. And so we were able to now get our new FDA approval a couple of weeks ago for a 740 gene panel with epigenomics, which was mentioned by Dr. T. Raja just now as well. That's now the gold standard. So this is important because we want to be able to combat this mortality to incidence ratio. We want to be able to detect cancer early. The reason why this ratio is so high is because majority of the cancers are detected really late. And so if we are able to find modalities that are able to help improve screening rates, help to be able to detect these cancers early when they are preventable, we will be able to bend this mortality curve. We cannot do this on our own. We have to do it with valuable partners. And I thank Apollo, I thank Zydus for their partnership, and I thank all of you for coming here today, because I think this is a milestone for India. I think it's a milestone that we can all celebrate together as we bring cancer detection to India broadly. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to each one of you. It's very difficult to speak after the eminent oncologist was spoken about on the Shield MCD, but most important part is how we create an access. It's really honor and privilege to share this platform with an eminent oncologist of India, along with our partners from Apollo Hospitals and our partners from Guardant Health. At Zydus, what we definitely believe is empowering people to live healthier and fulfilled life. We have been doing so by investing significantly in research and development to understand the needs of the patient that requires, and coming out with the newer modalities that really helps doctors or clinicians to have a better patient outcome. While doing so, we are equally mindful that innovation will only create a value when it reaches to the patient which requires it the most. Unless and until any innovation that we talk about does not have any value, which means we need to create an access. Commitment to the cancer care. I personally believe cancer remains as one of the major burden for India, and Dr. Raja did speak about it. What most important behind every diagnosis of cancer, it's not the patient, it's family, it's caregiver, and most important is uncertainty towards the future. It's responsibility of all of us sitting in this room and out there in India to ensure that journey is safe, faster, and more hopeful. At Zydus, we have been doing this. Over the years, we have been investing significantly in the research and development to bring newer modalities so that our clinicians can treat our patients much better. We have been creating access with the modalities that were not present in India. To talk about our journey in the space of oncology, we started with chemotherapy. We enhanced our offering when it was required to have a targeted therapies in the form of monoclonal antibodies. We enhanced further our offerings by providing an ADCs, it is called antibody drug conjugate, making us among the few in the world and only company in India to offer that modality to our clinicians, because that had become the standard of care. Currently, as Zydus, we have been significantly investing into bispecific and trispecifics. I'm sure Dr. Raja and Dr. Chaturvedi will appreciate that, along with the ADCs, because we believe that's how the future of cancer care is going to be in future. We've been mindful that future of the cancer care will not only be managing the disease, but it will work towards the cure, and that's why we have been calibrating our investments into cell and gene therapy. I personally believe one thing, and I echo Dr. Raja or Dr. Chaturvedi or my colleagues Samajit, which spoke about early detection. One thing which is very important, at least in India, and Sima spoke about the mortality ratio, because I'm going to say today we have newer modalities in the treatment and in the diagnosis available. But if you speak about India, most of the patients that have been diagnosed in cancer in India are the late stage or the stage at which the disease has already progressed. We have been acquiring and building capabilities in medtech and digital health. But where we believe that we don't have the capabilities, we partner with the local and global leaders. And today's partnership with Guardant Health and Apollo Hospital is testimony that what we believe in. Because Guardant is one of the leaders in molecular diagnostic, and at Zydus we definitely believe that the future of cancer care in India will depend on the molecular diagnostic and how fast and how early you detect the cancer. And that's where the Shield MCD will come into play. Apollo Hospital is another way, and Simar was right to say, when nobody thought about an annual health checkups, it was a vision of Dr. Reddy in early 70s to talk about annual checkup. And I've been told by my colleagues from Apollo Hospital that each and every employee of Apollo Hospital undergoes the annual health checkup, and that's a commitment towards the preventive health that we are talking about. Is brought best of all three companies on a single table. We're trying to create an ecosystem. Will definitely push for the awareness, to create education, to strengthen the confidence of our clinicians, and definitely to create an access. It cannot be done by each three of us. It has to be done by each one of you sitting in this room, my colleagues from the media, because it will require a support from clinicians, from healthcare providers, from companies like us, from companies like Guardant, but it is equally responsible from the media to propagate how detection of cancer, early detection of the cancer is important, because it requires an education to by and large population. It requires awareness. It requires an investment in infrastructure development. India still does not have an investment in infrastructure. It requires and coordination with the stakeholders, including the governments, be it state, center, and overall it requires a coordination with overall healthcare ecosystem.
Deep sense of excitement. It is also a privilege to introduce this first of its kind innovation in India. At the Apollo hospitals, we have always believed that world-class healthcare should be accessible to everyone. Today, we take another significant step in this direction. Apollo Cancer Centers proudly serve patients from 147 countries, but our mission goes beyond just treating cancers. Our greatest goal is to detect cancer early when it is most treatable, giving patients the best chance to life. For decades, remarkable advances in surgery, chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and precision medicine have improved cancer outcomes. Yet, the biggest breakthroughs lie in early detection, before symptoms appear and treatment becomes more complex. This is what makes today's launch truly transformative. Over the past 30 years, Apollo Cancer Centers have built one of the region's most comprehensive oncology ecosystems, integrating prevention, screening, diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation, research, and survivorship. Today's launch marks the next milestone in that journey. Thrives through collaboration. No single institution can overcome a challenge as complex as cancer alone. By bringing together Guardant Health's scientific expertise, Zydus' nationwide reach, and Apollo's clinical excellence, we are creating a powerful partnership to make advanced cancer detection more accessible across India. Our vision is clear: to shift cancer care from a reactive treatment to one that is more proactive. Early identification enables earlier intervention, better outcomes, and hope for thousands and thousands of patients and their families. This achievement is also a testament to the dedication of countless scientific, clinical, regulatory, and operational teams who have worked tirelessly to bring this innovation from concept to clinical practice. As we move forward, our commitment remains unwavering to bridge the gap between breakthrough innovation and patient access. The true value of medical innovation lies not only in its discovery, but in ensuring it reaches people beyond beyond metros and major cities, wherever they need it the most. Today is more than a launch of a new technology. It represents a new era in cancer care, one driven by collaboration, powered by innovation, and centered on the patient. Today, we are taking a decisive step towards early detection, better outcomes, and a future where fewer lives are lost to cancer. Thank you.
On behalf of our hospitals, I extend my heartiest gratitude to our Harshad Reddy, Dr. Harith, Dr. Raja, and esteemed leadership from Apollo and their vision unveiling this support in bringing the SHIELD initiative to the life. We sincerely thank our partners, Guardant Health, for the trust, scientific excellence, shared commitment in transforming early cancer detection in India, along with Zydus. Our deep appreciation to our clinicians, oncologists, and their project team, whose dedication has made the cancer detection program a reality. I finally thank every guest present, media, your participation making the important step forward in our mission, make advanced life-saving cancer care accessible to all. The session is open to all for questions. Following the question answers, we warmly invite all of us.
Seen some of your friends, relatives. Screening is trying to detect cancer early, and you may have heard about some techniques like people go through mammogram to detect breast cancer, people go through pap smear to detect cervical cancer. Sometimes you may have heard about doing a colonoscopy to detect colon cancer. So these are all physical ways of detecting. You can do an oral cavity examination. Sometimes you can do a CT scan of the lung. So these are all physical tests, and you have to do these tests to detect cancer, and they are able to detect individual cancers, and they are able to detect 5 or 6 very easily seeable or examinable cancer. It cannot detect everything else that is deep inside. This is different because it's a blood test. With one blood test, now they can officially say that nearly 10 to 14 cancers they are able to detect, and they are able to detect the signals in the DNA, and then therefore they are able to say that there is something wrong here, and that signal tells 60 to 75% sensitivity, and if those patients then go for testing, then we can confirm. So it is like a single blood test able to detect a large number of cancer, and more than the common cancers, it can also detect some difficult cancers like ovary, pancreas. So that's the advantage of this test. So this is the first pioneering model for early detection. People have been trying to do imagine a scenario tomorrow that anyone can just go through a blood test, and then they can come out and say that you have a cancer, go and check it, or you don't have a cancer. It will be all the big cancers can be. That will be a great thing, but then the problem is the technology. It has to be validated, it has to be approved, and this is the first pioneering test in that area.
We were looking at developing this technology, and we put this together. We looked at some of the deadliest cancers. So a lot of these cancers, like Dr. T. Raja has mentioned, pancreatic cancer, for example, liver cancer, they are unsymptomatic for a very long period, and they're detected very late. So in terms of being able to have detection for these types of cancers, having a single blood test makes it much more convenient. And more importantly, if you are doing many of these modalities, single cancer by cancer, it takes a lot of cost, it takes a lot of time. Not everybody has the time to be able to be adherent and compliant to all these different modalities. So this makes it more convenient. right? Just how, for example, how we have changed the spectrum in terms of cardiovascular disease. When we now start looking at LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and we started doing those tests, it changed the entire ballgame. We think this will be the same way going forward in cancer care.
And Dr. Raja left. That as Dr. Raja pointed out, there are a lot of tumors which are deep down, which are very difficult to detect. And for example, liver, pancreas, bladder cancer, ovaries, something where even 80% people present late stages. All these cancers are not approachable, not accessible, and these can be screened by a simple test. That changes the game. The bigger thing is this is a pioneering first step, and now this will lay a foundation for further research. So what we are foreseeing, as pointed out earlier, that soon, maybe a few years' time, we'll have a single test which will be part of the routine evaluation or annual checkup, and that test will tell us whether you go this way or that way and change the game. So that is what is our hope.
Actually, in India, even though we call it as a single country, some peculiarities are there. If you go to Northeast, we see some common cancers which are not seen in any other part of India. If you go to the Western India, you see a big incidence of colon cancer. But if you come to Southern India, you see a lot of stomach cancers. But if you go to North and East, you see gallbladder cancer. You won't see that so India is a country where different types of cancer occur in different parts of India. So that's one peculiarity of India. In India, within one country, we have many countries. But cancer is there the prevalence is there in all states in India.
Screenings are going on, should continue. That is one. Second thing is, any symptom, whether you have a test today and tomorrow you have something which is nagging you, you have to go to the doctor. It is not a foolproof thing for next 1 year, it's a certificate or a license that I am fine. So it's very important. So typically as oncologists, what we say, any symptom beyond 3 weeks. 3 weeks is a cutoff. Most of the self-limiting diseases will settle down in 1, 2 or 3 weeks. Anything beyond 3 weeks, one needs to rule out malignancy, more so in people above 40 years of age. But as Dr. Raja said, we generally see people from all age groups. So anything which is there, out there, not getting solved, not being addressed, needs to be assessed independent of any test done before for cancer.
Is a leading pharmaceutical company which has been pioneering and launching NCs and NPs in India and across the world. Through this partnership, what we want to create is an access to the larger healthcare system across India, other than Apollo hospitals as well. What we bring to the table is a deep knowledge about Indian patients, also the relations with the clinicians across India. Yeah, fully.
So cancer survival is linked with two things. What is the tumor's origin, site and biology of tumor, and the stage of presentation. Both play a very crucial role. For example, thyroid malignancy, papillary thyroid, the cure rate in first stages is almost 98, 99% or 100%. Breast cancer, stage 0, early stage, 95% plus cure rate. Same biology, same tumor, as the stage advances, the deterioration in survival. For example, in breast cancer, as the stage 3 happens, it comes down to 70%, 65%. Again, a lot of nuances are there, age group, presentation, various factors come into play. All put together, two factors come into play. What this test is doing, it is shifting all this to early stage, all types of cancer. So this itself alone, irrespective of biology, will have a huge impact on survival. That's what we are hoping to get.
This is specifically for solid tumors. Two things. One, second thing is that this is currently recommended for age group above 40-45. So that's also important. So that is because of all the regulatory requirements, because governments go very carefully. They don't want to throw it on everybody. So above 40-45 is recommended. Currently it is approved for solid tumors. So for blood cancer detection, this is still not, to my knowledge, this is still not approved.
So we all miss one point, that almost 50% of cancer is preventable. That is a very, so whether we'll reach that stage or not, we can certainly today, by knowing and applying that in our daily lives, we can cut down our risk by 50%. Tobacco, alcohol, our dietary habits, our exercise, lifestyle, and taking regular screening for vaccines that are available, for example, HPV vaccine, HPSA, hepatitis vaccine, all this put together, if we apply what is available, 50% of cancers is anyway cut down. So today, as we were talking about the incidence earlier, that almost we get 2 million, 2.5 million patients every year. If we do this systematically, our risk will come down to 1.2 million. That itself will improve the possibility of applying all these tools to those people at higher risk and things like that.
Very important part to our attention, because it is true. Unless it is included in terms of some sort of master health screening program, there is definitely still a psychological fear. People are not going to be going and doing testing independently. And if not, the compliance rates would have already been very high. But the compliance rates are very low. So there must be a lot of awareness, a lot of education that needs to be done. But it is also very important to have a test that is convenient and that reduces the friction. So that's one of the reasons why when we looked at it, we said, how can we do that? The best way to do it is people are already very used in terms of health screening to be able to do a blood test. So if we are able to look at cancer screening using a blood modality, we should be able to then help in terms of reducing that friction. That's the first step, right? Increase compliance. In fact, when we did our large study in the US, we were looking at colorectal cancer, we looked at the fact that how many of the patients were adherent and compliant towards doing a colonoscopy versus how many of them were adherent to doing a blood test. We had in excess of 90+% adherent in blood tests versus only about 40-50% in colonoscopy. So that it shows itself that if you reduce the friction, people will do it. The other part of it is that how do we educate and create the awareness? This is new technology. New technology requires really everybody's effort. That's why what was mentioned, we need the media to be able to bring this message to the masses. That yes, there is something now that you can go and take control of your health. You can go and do this test because you are going to be able to screen cancer early. More importantly, why screen cancer early? Because it is the most treatable when it's early. You don't have to manage the burden of disease when it's late stage. So I think that paradigm requires all of us together. We need the clinicians, we need the healthcare services providers, we need Zydus and their team because they are looking at therapies, they are looking at how the entire population is gaining the knowledge, and then we need good technologies. We are probably pioneers in these technologies. We also want to innovate further to make it more accessible. The earlier gentleman said that we wanted more cancer types to be detected. Yes, that is the future. But the first step comes is awareness. That requires all of us to come together.
The change in consumer behavior, not so very. In fact, takes a lot more willpower to do. Today, people are realizing that unfortunately, cancer incidences are growing. It's within 2 degrees of separation that you see cancer, unfortunately, within family members. As a responsibility towards themselves and their near and dear ones, people are inquiring about cancer detection tests. And we only believe that this would become a success. The reason being, as Simarjit said, the friction of doing a blood test is much less. I'll also urge the members of the media to enable us to propagate the importance of doing such tests. Government in certain countries, for example in Japan, I believe they mandate a colonoscopy for people over a certain age. I think it is about time that a country like India also mandates such tests, because ultimately then the expenditure toward healthcare will also come down for the nation if cancer is detected early. So I am confident that cancer detection, prevention, diagnostics would become a standard in our health checkup packages moving forward.
புற்றுநோய் நம்ம ஏர்லி ஸ்டேஜில் கண்டுபிடிச்சா ஈஸியாக க்யூர் பண்ண முடியும். புற்றுநோய்ங்கிறது வந்துட்டு ஒரு கொடிய நோய். அதே லேட் ஸ்டேஜில் பார்த்தா அதை ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறது, இதை க்யூர் பண்ணுறதுங்கிறது வந்து ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக போயிடுது. ஸோ இப்போது கேன்சர் இன்சிடென்ட்ஸ் நம்ம நாட்டில் அதிகமாகிட்டே போகுது. ஸோ இப்போது புற்றுநோயை நம்ம ஆரம்ப சூழ்நிலையிலேயே கண்டுபிடிச்சா அதன் மூலம் அதிகமான சதவீத பேஷண்ட்ஸை நம்மளால் கம்ப்ளீட்டாக க்யூர் பண்ண முடியும். இன்னைக்கு இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கிற இந்த டெஸ்ட், இதுக்கு பேர் மல்டி கேன்சர் டிடெக்ஷன் டெஸ்ட்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. இது ஒரு சிம்பிளான பிளட் டெஸ்டின் மூலம் 10 காமன் கேன்சர்ஸை வந்துட்டு எர்லி ஸ்டேஜ்லேயே கண்டுபிடிக்க மிகவும் உதவியாக இருக்கிறது. ஸோ ஏர்லி ஸ்டேஜில் கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுனால அவங்கள சீக்கிரம் ட்ரீட் பண்ண முடியும், கம்ப்ளீட்டாக அவங்கள குணமாக்குறதுக்கான வாய்ப்பும் அதிகமாகிறது. கேன்சருங்கிறது வந்து உங்கள் எல்லாருக்குமே, கேன்சருங்கிறது ஒரு கொடிய நோய், எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். கேன்சர் வந்து யாருக்கு வேணால் ஏற்படலாம், எந்த ஏஜ் குரூப்லேயும் ஏற்படலாம். ஆண் பெண் அப்படின்ட்டு எந்த விதமான வித்தியாசமும் இல்லை. சின்ன வயசுலேயும் வரலாம், முதியோர்களுக்கும் வரலாம். ஸோ கேன்சரில் என்ன ஒரு பெரிய கேன்சர்னால் எதுக்கு எல்லாரும் பயப்படுறாங்கன்னா, அது ஒரு உயிர்கொல்லி நோய்னு எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும். முக்கியமாக அது ஒரு அட்வான்ஸ் ஸ்டேஜில் பார்த்தா அதை ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறது, அந்த ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறதுனால ஏற்படக்கூடிய விளைவுகள், பக்க விளைவுகள், அதனுடைய க்யூர் பண்ணுறதுக்கான சாத்தியம், இதெல்லாம் நினச்சி தான் கேன்சர்னால் எல்லாருக்கும் பயப்படுறோம். பட் கேன்சரை பற்றி நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். ஏன்னா ஒரு எர்லியாக அந்த கேன்சரை கண்டுபிடிக்க முடிஞ்சா, கேன்சர் யாருக்கும் வர வேண்டாம், வில் ப்ரே ஃபார் இட். பட் ஒருவேளை கேன்சர் ஏற்பட்டால் அதையும் நம்ம எர்லி ஸ்டேஜில் கண்டுபிடிக்க முடிஞ்சால் இன்றைக்கி உள்ள நவீன மருத்துவம் மூலம் 90% ஆஃப் பேஷண்ட்டை க்யூர் பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ அதனால் சீக்கிரமாக அந்த நோயை கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். அதனால நம்ம என்ன பண்ண விரும்புகிறோம்னா, மக்களுக்கு அவேர்னஸ் இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆச்சுன்னா ரொம்ப நல்லது. கேன்சருக்கான காமனான அறிகுறிகள் அதை தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது நல்லது. ஒரு ஃபீவர் வந்தாலோ, ஒரு சின்ன கட்டி மாதிரி இருந்தாலோ, ஆறாத புண்ணு மாதிரி எங்கேயாவது இருந்தாலோ, ஒரு எதிர்பாராமல் ப்ளீடிங் ஆனாலோ அதை வந்து நம்ம அசட்டையாக விடக்கூடாது. ஒரு 1 வீக் 2 வீக்ஸ் 3 வீக்ஸில் அது சரியாகலைன்னா உடனடியாக டாக்டரை பார்க்குறது நல்லது. எல்லா கேன்சரும் மரபு நோய் கிடையாது. ஒரு 10 to 15% கேன்சர்ஸ் வந்து மரபின் காரணமாக ஏற்படலாம். ஸோ அதுக்கு பேர் மரபு நோய்னு சொல்லலாம். பட் 80 to 85% கேன்சர்ஸ் ஆர் ரேண்டம் கேன்சர்ஸ். அது வந்து தற்செயலாக ஏற்படக்கூடிய ஒரு விபத்து மாதிரி தான், யாருக்கு வேணால் ஏற்படலாம். 15% 20% கேன்சருக்கு ஒரு மரபின் தொடர்ச்சி இருக்குன்னு தெரியுது. அதை பற்றியும் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது நல்லது. முக்கியமாக சில கேன்சர்ஸ், பிரஸ்ட் கேன்சர், ஓவரி கேன்சர், கோலன் கேன்சர், ஈவன் இப்போது நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம் ப்ராஸ்டேட் கேன்சர், பேங்க்ரியாட்டிக் கேன்சர், இதில் எல்லாமே மரபு அணுக்களோட தாக்கம் இருக்கிறது. ஸோ அதை பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறது வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். கேன்சருங்கிறது தொற்று நோய் கிடையாது. ஸோ இது எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியணும். ஏன்னா கேன்சர் உள்ளவங்களை நம்ம பார்த்துக்கிறதுனாலையோ, அவங்க கூட இருக்கிறதுனாலையோ, ஃபேமிலியில் ஹஸ்பண்ட் ஒய்ஃப் சில்ட்ரன் அல்லது ஃபாதர் மதர் அவங்க கூட சேம் குடும்பத்தில் இருக்கிறதுனாலையோ, அவங்கள நம்ம கேர் பண்ணுறதுனாலையோ கேன்சர் நிச்சயமாக பரவாது. கேன்சர் வந்து ஒருத்தர்லேருந்து இன்னொருத்தருக்கு 100% பரவாதுன்னு சொல்லுவோம். இது வந்து தொற்று நோய் கிடையாது. இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் மாதிரி கேன்சர் வந்து தொற்று நோய் கிடையாது.